Welcome, family. I know I've been away for a while, but I've been very busy. And of course, I've been on the case. Welcome to another version of On the Trail with Hamtonio. I've been meaning to come down here for a long time to make several little shorts with you guys, but just been busy and tired. I work several jobs and president of a couple organizations, and we got programs coming up. Just been tired. But I heard something today on the news when I got back, and it just validated the urgency for us to be paying attention to what's going on. I know you guys was tripping about the draft and the playoffs and things of that nature, but we have to stay focused and tuned to what's going on and not let those things distract us. But what was on the news today? They were talking about, of course, this Trump stuff, and they was talking about uh, Tucker Carlson being expelled from Fox News. And one of the talking heads slipped up and said something that, you know, drew my attention, just made me think. And it was talking about the January 6th insurrection as well. And, they were saying that, these Proud Boys and the like might, you know, take their grievances locally instead of doing something national like they did by going down to DC at the Capitol and doing what they did. So they might concentrate in their respective areas doing whatever it is they do to flex their muscle and influence, you know, I guess policies and things in their respective areas. Now, this what got my attention. They said that they may be focusing on things like the school board. Now, why would they? You have to ask yourself a question. Why would they be focusing on the school board, using their intimidating influences on the school board? Now, we've been having this discussion across the country with this critical race theory piece. Is it that serious, folks? Is it something that black folks need to be paying more close attention to where you got groups like the Proud Boys are going to be using their muscle to influence school boards? I said this on my show a while back when I first heard of Texas, during the election time, Texas is focusing on the school board as well to deal with this critical race theory. What's going on, family? I mean, come on, get your wheels to turning, get to thinking and what's going on. They have stooped down to that level to influence policies as far as the school board is concerned. They got to tell you something that we're in desperate times. Something is going on serious to where they will resort to those measures. That critical race theory is that important to people like the Proud Boys. These things are serious. It's serious times. These things are serious right now. They want their country back, and they ain't playing. So, guys, please, let's keep our ear to the ground and paying attention to what's going on. Stay focused. I made a few little notes to talk about as well. I ran across another podcast that confirmed some other stuff. I've been watching, for the folks who don't be tuning in to Dr. I believe it's John Campbell's podcast. Please check out some of this stuff because he be bringing out some interesting stuff about the COVID and all the rest of it. Mostly the COVID stuff and what's going on around the world, because we got to see exactly what's going on around the world, not just what the talking heads are talking about here in the States. But a recent video, I believe, is the WHO new treaty, and they're talking about uh, the world's sovereignty. All these nations are signing on to the WHO and signing on to their new amended treaty to where almost the WHO almost have a power and jurisdiction over all these nations that that contribute to it. Give them the authority to run the show, say what's good information and what's bad information, not leaving it up to debate. Was because you always have two sides of the stories where you have scientists saying this and scientists saying, hold on, just pump the brakes here. I don't know if I agree with that. No, but they'll be able to take all of that out, just like anybody who said anything negative about COVID or the vaccine. You don't see them too much on in recent times, on YouTube talking about it. But they will have full authority to say what it is, to deal with the lockdowns, what method to as far as companies is concerned, decide on, if everybody's going to have to take the vaccine, and I mean, giving them full authority where the states wouldn't have as much say so in it. They'll dictate the policy. In this 194, I believe, member, there'll be that little small group will be controlling the world. This unelected group where all the people and the members of them and their families have diplomatic immunity. They don't pay taxes. And here's the catching thing. About 80% of all the funding now, where it used to be funded by the countries, now 80% of it is funded by private sources. So as they say, you can pay to play. And guess who's the number two contributor to the WHO? Germany is one. With our Pfizer people, you need to do some history about Germany and the things that their scientists was up to forever. Okay, and the people that own Pfizer is Germans. Okay, they was instrumental in a lot of the uh, uh, instruments and weaponry that was implemented in a lot of these wars that we have. All the chemical warfare stuff created Germany. Guess who's number two contributor? Bill and the Melinda Gates Foundation. Ain't that man just so interested in saving the world? Ain't that something? So interested. Not even a doctor. And he's been sued in a couple of countries, for promoting um, medical technology that through vaccines that hurt and damage people, and he's been sued. But you don't hear too much about that. But he's so interested in getting everybody vaccine. You know what he did? He was over there in Africa negotiating with people and trying to infect and genetically modify a mosquito. So the mosquitoes can go out there and infect people with the vaccine against your will, in case those who want to hold out from by taking the vaccine. This is where we at, people. And it's rumors to say, or pretty much it's documentation to say, I've seen it, that they said they already released over 1 billion mosquitoes that is infected with the vaccine in some parts of the world. Ain't that interesting? But we're gonna be worried about the football game, the basketball game. That's what we're gonna be paying attention to. And I'm not saying it to put you down, people. I'm just trying to shock jock you into saying, come on, I like those things too. But I'm not paying attention to it now because so many things are going on right now. And I know we need a relief from the stress and things like that. But at least don't make it your top priority. All right. Giving that too much energy, too much of our energy with these soaps on TV and all the stupidness on TV. Focus more of your time to what's going on globally and in this country. That's what I'm saying. Then we got this thing about the US dollar. All right. Some of my friends and scholars have been talking about it for a lot of years. China and Russia have been talking about this for a long time. Now, is it a big scheme? that is going on that unbeknownst to us little folks, because all through the COVID they was talking about the great reset, the great reset, the great reset, the great reset. And this is another fear tactic to get us all afraid of our investments, our retirement, and things like that, and be willing to accept any kind of program or global program that come along to save our little pennies in the bank. Could it be? I'm just throwing it out there. We don't know. But that's why we need to be paying attention so we can find some breadcrumbs or we can connect the dots and make some sense of this of what's going on. Because I know one thing, America is not going to sit back and let it go down without a fight. So we need to get some popcorn, sit back and see what's going on, see what's going to happen. And people talk about those other investments like, gold and silver and precious metals and things like that. You might need to do it. At least think about it just in case. But like I said, I don't think America is going to sit back and just let that happen. We actually, they come out with their digital, I think it's the CBCD digital currency now. And guess what? They're taking on the same policies with that current digital currency as guess who? The folks they supposed to be mad with, China. Where they be able to regulate what you spend, how much you spend, and some say they can their digital dollar would expire after a certain length of time. They're supposed to implement it at the beginning of April. Slowly doing it. Is this part of the whole globalization, one world government type of thing? That's what we have to keep lodged in the back of our minds. And I don't know if it's good or bad yet, but I'm really appreciating a lot of the African nations are standing up, even though some of them are joining BRICS. But it's a bittersweet situation with me on how it's dealing with the dollar because that's how I got to deal with being in America right now. But I like the fact that these guys are standing up. See, they got another source, a resource in Russia and in China for getting their goods. America just can't come and slap them in the mouth now and put sanctions on skills. That's what's been happening with the dollar because they've been weaponizing the dollar. And if you don't go with their program, they're putting sanctions on you. And people across the planet is getting tired of America doing that. And I'm cool with the African nations standing up and saying, no, we're not going to go with Kamala Harris going over there and promoting the LGBT community. They say that's not a culture. And y'all ain't going to tell us what to do anymore. Because I know they know their self-worth right now. They know they're sitting on some good resources that everybody wants. And they're getting smart and they're starting to talk about. That's why we need to be paying attention too. We shouldn't just give away our birthright as far as Africa is concerned. Get you a little piece of it, get you a little nugget of it or something. Just don't give it away freely and let folks come in and infiltrate. They are willing to do some business with us. They're looking for us to do business with them. As one of my doctor brothers said, one of the chiefs in Africa was talking about it. Yeah, they dealing with China and things like that. But if you out there drowning and somebody throws you a life preserve, you're going to take it. Because African Americans weren't doing anything to try to connect with them. They would have preferred to deal with the African Americans, but you out there drowning, you're going to take the first lifeboat and life preserver as you can. And that's what they did with China. Because China was working better deals than the U.S. was. And speaking in what, Julius Malema, go check him out on YouTube. What he said about Putin. He said, we'll protect Putin. He said, because we didn't forget our friends. You know why he's made that statement about Putin? Because when they was going through all those struggles and losing all those lives in South Africa, and when we was over here when we finally paid attention to it and was trying to get America to intervene and do something, America sat on their hands. You know who gave them weapons? Russia. That's why they said we don't forget our friends. So we ain't got no problem with Russia. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them. And that man that y'all been taught to hate, Fidel Castro, guess who sent troops over there to help him? Him. That's why I tell you, you don't think for yourself. We brainwash. All of us is brainwashed here. We've been taught to hate Fidel Castro, Hugo Chavez, Saddam Hussein, Muammar Gaddafi. All these folks, we sit up here and hate them because the man tell us to hate us, and we don't know nothing about them, and know all them folks that's been doing out here across the planet, helping black folks. But the African nations are standing up. And they're saying, you can't, America, you can't tell us what to do no more. And that's a good thing. When has that happened in recent times, in modern times? Talking about a United States of Africa, talking about getting their own currency. Ghana talking about buying their own gold and maybe backing their dollars by gold. Zimbabwe selling their own wheat. They talk about taking their own cocoa and distributing them themselves and dealing with themselves. These are the things that are going on in Africa right now. The change is right there, and it's moving faster than I thought. I was giving it 5 years. It's moving fast. Africa is the new frontier. You got 1.4 billion people. That's you all those markets that just opened up. That's why corporations is looking that way. All those people gonna need goods and services, family, and they need your expertise. That's what Dr. Whitaker said. It's a perfect match made in heaven. We have some of the money, and we got the education, even though it's miseducation. But we lack culture and cultural unity. They have the culture that we left behind, but they lack the education and the money. Perfect match made in heaven. But the man has worked so hard to destroy our consciousness, their consciousness and our consciousness, not all of them and not all of us, but to keep us apart. We should be very thorough in understanding that divide and conquer strategy by now. Come on, y'all, 2023. Showing them all kind of negative imagery on us and showing us all kind of negative imagery towards them. If it's so bad, why they got their butt over there? If it's so bad, why they got their butt over there trying to get a piece? Why? You have to ask yourself, but I ain't going over there. I ain't going over there. They don't like us. Come on, when you going to stop being played like fools? Yes, they need education and knowing what time it is. And we do too. So we got to get the message out on both sides. And they starting to understand that their salvation is the African American as well. And I don't want to throw this out. How do we let China get to the point of producing everything for us? See, now America supposed to be all smart and everything. We stop producing stuff and letting China, supposedly some people that we are in converse with, somebody that that we are at odds with each other. But we let them produce and market and we import all these goods made in China. How did you let yourself get to that? If somebody that you dislike so bad, how would you allow your country to be so dependent on China? But they got you fighting, thinking, oh man, China, man, come on, man. That's something else you just keep in the back of your mind. That it's all a smoke screen and a fear tactic. I always keep that back, even though how it sounds. Come on, when you sharing information with the whole COVID piece, it's only leaked out that Fauci gave the recipe to China and Wuhan, and they did what they do, did what that they did what they did to it with the gain of function piece. That's coming out in the news. I think one of the committees in Congress came out with their findings and said, yes, it was a doctored virus. And China was in the game with this. We got our space station with China. I mean, yes, a space station with China. We in cahoots with. China own a lot of property here. We own a lot of property there. But we mad at each other. And they want to squash the dollar. That'll make good business sense for China, do it? All the money we own and all the investments they have over here, why would they want to strangle the US out? There's something to think about. Fear tactics so they can get this globalization. It's something for you to think about, my family. Because China's in the same bed with, I don't, that old money, Rothschild money, and that's in Europe. I don't think they sit up here and just let somebody take their birth inheritance away from them like that. No Bitcoin and not none of it. I don't think they would sit back and do it. I think that's that coin. I think it's called BlackRock. Almost own everything on the planet. Come on, and they're gonna just let it happen like that. You know? And this is one thing that I'm just embarrassed to even talk about it. Because when we was talking about this whole vaccine thing and what's going on and the WHO, I hate to halfway admit, man, was Trump halfway right with something? Because it was the Republicans who was pushing back on the whole vaccine piece. It wasn't the Democrats, and that was making me very concerned about the Democrats. Because I truly believe America's going to do what America's going to do, regardless who's in office. But my analogy I used to put on it was, you want a slow road to hell or a fast road to hell? And I think the Democrats are just giving us a slow road to hell. We're going to hell, but it's just a slower road, then, and a less obvious road to hell than what the Republicans was doing. That was my take on it. But now I start looking at this as good cop, bad cop type of thing. Because I always wondered why Democrats weren't pressing on certain things. Even with all the data of the excess deaths across the world, the stuff leaking out about it being a genetically manufactured gain of function virus, or the talking about natural immunity. How come none of the talking heads in front of the Democrats and the Democrat networks never say anything about it? Never bring it up in the news. Now, you know how folks like to get on black folks bandwagon, like the Antifa, how they jumped on the bandwagon of Black Lives Matter. They all for us, but they got a secret agenda. But they're gonna ride the wave of what we are doing to get their little funky off. I'm thinking that same thing with Democrats. Jump on those bandwagons and get black folks, fight for civil rights, fight for abortions, fight for no child left behind, or any of those voucher programs. But at the same time, then slide a little something in there for their agenda. And I guess I guess they know what they talk about. They've been on our side. We can't go Republican. So I wonder, is this good cop, bad cop? They're all in the same bed, but just using a different tactic to get us. Black folks need their own party. That's why they got to keep confusion out here with the minorities. You need your own voting block and everybody being on point. I think Ice T was talking about it. Not Ice T. Ice Cube was talking about it at one time, writing down some things that we all can agree on and voting blocks, because you have the power to tip the scales. Look, you guys took Georgia. You almost took Texas. And you breathing down the neck of North Carolina. These folks are scared because they know by 2040 or something it's going to be a minority place. That's why they want their country back. That's why it's so serious. It's about the numbers. You have to ask yourself, why would somebody have an issue with abortion, even with rape and incest? Come on, man. How blatantly they what they telling you? It's about numbers, especially when they census report they was down 17% in population, and that's just not in the U.S. That's across the world that this decrease in population is going on. So they are desperate. It's a desperate situation. That's why I say, family, it's too much going on. We have to wake up. We have to wake up. Now, I referenced a book by Barbara Walter. She go to YouTube, Barbara Walter, not Walters, Walter. She talks about her book, How Civil Wars Start. Very interesting. We got the signs. We got the signs. But she said it ain't gonna be set up like red coats, blue coats. It ain't gonna be like that. No, they're gonna be doing the guerrilla war tax, tactic. Little malls here, this, that, and other. And she said before you know it, you got a problem. It's a full blown assault going on. She said that's how they study. She worked with the CIA, and that's how they studied other countries. They weren't allowed to study America at the time. So that's how Civil War started. Civil unrest. She said people just take political ideology sides based on race and not ideology. You can see it setting up. Economy issues. You got turmoil going inside the government itself, infighting with these young bucks and the old head and the old guard and the new guard. And Russia and China just out there looking, watching all of this discord. But one thing I'm gonna say here that I want to put on your mind, and I'm gonna close. That could be the case, because everybody look, it's gonna be civil war, gonna be civil war. But this is what I'm theorizing, I would say. What if that's not gonna be the big uprising? Because people across the globe is paying attention to these access deaths. These morticians talking about the blood clots and this substance that they're pulling out of the veins of these people that are dead. That you talked about the leaking, about it being manufactured, and loved ones, weren't able to see their people, you know, pass on because the hospitals won't let all this negative stuff that is coming out, and all the stuff that they find out about the side effects that they didn't let get out early on. Then you find it strange that for the first 6, 7 months they didn't tell you anything to do besides wash your hands. The best prevention on anything is always, is early detection or prevention. For anything, they tell you, hey, they didn't tell us what to eat, what not to eat, what to do. No, they ain't saying nothing like that. Just go home and hopefully it don't. If you get some serious symptoms, come on back, because they were striving for emergency authorization. And in that statute, it says that it has to be the last resort where nothing shows any signs of helping. So that's why they knocked those other things that people was trying to bring on to say that it worked. Now data coming out saying, yeah, it does work. But in order to get emergency authorization, they had to debunk everything that people put out here that could have worked for them. And so that's some diabolical stuff, ain't it? So I'm saying, with all that being said, and people starting to think and see this going on, I think the biggest pushback that might get black folks and white folks, poor and rich, working together against the powers that be, because they already talking about a new pandemic. Them trying to put something else out here on you, because they already working on it with technology of putting everybody in a database and tracking you, a better tracking system to see if you've been vaccinated or not. I think that's going to be the big pushback that might tip this whole thing over. They might get poor and rich, white and black all together, and be a big upheaval. It's just something I'm theorizing and predict. That could happen. Let the information keep trickling out because they ain't putting it all in your networks right now, but it's busting at the seams. But keep paying attention to the next. As I say, tune in to Dr. John Campbell's podcast, please. Would you please? Because he got a whole lot of information on that, and every day he puts something out. He going to their website. He going to who. He's going to people talking. You know, that's why they haven't took him off because he's giving you the data right there from people's CDCs and and some officials in their countries is talking about. He just giving you the information and letting you draw your own conclusion. So, family, I'm trying to stay on top of this. I'm working on some good interviews with you. My good brother from Zimbabwe, King Mapunga, and Dr. Smalls. I know Professor Small, I've been talking for a while with him. Uh, uh, I got several others that I'm working on. I'm gonna try to get on this thing and at least come to you and bring you some good information that I might run across. To keep this thing going. So I need you to subscribe. Please subscribe, y'all. And it's not about the dollars with me. I just want to get the information out here to our folks. So subscribe. Tell somebody else to subscribe so we can keep in touch. Keep us on this trail, on this journey. Subscribe to the Journey with Hamptonio. The Journey with Hamptonio. Go ahead and subscribe, please, and so we can conversate, commune, and share information. All right, my brothers and sisters. And, we're preparing here in Cleveland to get our June programs together. I'm doing a fundraiser next month, comedy show. You can hopefully, get in touch with me if you're here in Cleveland. You know what I do. I'm on the radio Saturday mornings from 11 to 12, 1490 a.m. If you're out of state, it's www.newstalkcleveland.com, www.newstalkcleveland.com, and click Listen Live. That's 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So you can tune in. We always keep a good show going. We bring a lot of our scholars on as well, and we have some local stuff going on, but you can get plugged into what I'm doing here locally as well. And I hope we can connect. So until next time, family, let's keep focused, because consciousness is the key. We're in a war for our mind, and that's what it's all about. Yeah, come on. If we save our consciousness and take it back, they said what the last poet said: free the mind and the behind will follow. They didn't say behind. Free the mind and the behind will follow. That's what it's all about. Till next time, family. Peace, peace, peace. Peace.